All right, let's see what this looks like if we're working in a spreadsheet instead of kind of working by hand. Uh, Doing math by hand works fine, but spreadsheets can do math a lot faster. So I'm going to show you some tricks that hopefully you can follow. And so you want to pay close attention because I think they're going to save you a lot of time. The only thing I've done in the spreadsheet so far is I've put these 4 different columns up here at the top, which are the exact same columns that I had before in my worksheet. And so I've got frame, position, velocity, and acceleration. So my frame numbers start out at frame 0. So I just put in the number 0 there. And then they start with 1, and then frame 2, and then they frame 3. And I could keep drawing that down and just putting in all the numbers down as far as I need. Or what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to highlight, click and hold on these numbers here. And turns out that Google Sheets is smart enough. If I was to go to this little kind of corner square here where it changes to a plus sign, I can click and hold, and it will actually try and follow the same pattern that I started with. So I'm going to click and hold and just kind of drag down here. And what's going to happen is it's going to start to fill in numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm down to 17, so I need an 18, 19, 20 on my whole thing. So there it goes. It's 15 frames, right, of being kind of accelerating. And then after that, it just kind of cruises off on its own. So let's put in the things that we also know. We know that we start in position 0. So I'm going to start at 0 right there. And then over here in the velocity category, and I might have accidentally changed this to be in numbers here already, but that doesn't matter too much. Let me go ahead and turn them all back so that they're auto formatted for everything. That'll make it a little easier. Here's 0 for position 0. My velocity starts at 0 as well. And my acceleration, if you remember, does not start at 0. So what does my acceleration equal? It's my change in velocity divided by my change in time. So I'm going to actually put in that number right here so it'll do the math for me. So I'm going to start by hitting an equals sign. So it drops on a little equal there. My change in velocity was 1 and 1 centimeter per frame. And then my change in time was 15 frames, which gives me this nice number here of my acceleration. And it even does it with more decimal points, and I'm going to go ahead and use that for the moment. If I take this frame, or this cell, excuse me, and I say I want to fill down, I want to make sure that all of my accelerations are the same up through my 15th one here, I can just come to this corner, drag on down to 15 and let go. And you'll notice that it's the same all the way down because each one of them is this 1 divided by 15. After that, if you remember, everything becomes 0 because my acceleration disappears and I just keep going forward at the same velocity after that. So in theory, by the time we hit frame 15, we should be going 1 centimeter per frame. That's what we're looking at. So from here, we should be able to accelerate and go from 0 up to 1. So how do we do that? Well, I'm going to come to this block. Actually, we could come to this block right here, and I'm going to say I'm going to add whatever we used to have. I'm going to add in this acceleration, how much we're speeding up. So if I hit equals here, this frame is going to equal to whatever it was the last frame, which is 0, plus whatever is over here. So I just clicked on this one, which is C2, and then I'm going to hit a plus. And then I'm going to click on this one, which is D2. So it's this plus that equals this. So C2 plus D2. So this one plus that one equals this. And when I hit enter, now I end up with this number here, which means I've accelerated by this amount. Now here's what's cool here, is that I can go ahead and take this number, and if I go to this tiny little square here, I can fill down and it will do the same thing. It'll take now this plus this is going to give us the next one. And so I'm just going to keep adding. So I'm going to keep doing that right here all the way down to frame 15. And each time it happens, it takes this plus this equals the next one. And then this plus this equals that one. And if I did this all right, then that fill down is going to leave me at frame 15 we are now traveling at 1 centimeter per frame, which is exactly what showed up. So my acceleration was calculated correctly because I know that now in 15 frames, I'm now going 1, which means that I can go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 for the remainder because I've sped up this amount and now I'm traveling at 1 on the way out. All right. These numbers, the reason why they looked a little funny, right, is because of the fact that there's lots of decimal points for us to work with, which seems a little bit much. So if I want to, I could clean that up and make it look a little bit better by coming here and highlighting all of my data and then coming up here to format and going to number. And if I choose number, it's going to put in just 2 decimal points that are afterwards. I could also choose things like scientific notation or currency or the rest, but I'm going to just put number, which gives me 2 decimal points. And now I end up with this. I could do 3 decimal points or the like, but this is a good start with things. So my velocity increases up to 1, and then it keeps coming down at 1. So what about our positions? How do we do with that? On the position side of things, I'm going to go ahead and click right here and say, okay, remember that my equation was equals. I'm going to put that equals in the magic equals because I'm doing math. And I'm going to do 0.5. And then I'm going to multiply this times, if you remember, the acceleration, where my acceleration is this number here. So I'm just going to click on that. Right? Acceleration times time, where it's in frames. I'm going to click on the frame, which is 1. And then I'm going to put this little caret, which is on the 6 key, which is this little hat or caret, and I'm going to put squared. So I've got 0.5 times my acceleration, which is this one here, times my frame number, quantity squared. And if I hit enter, it drops in my position. This is the 0.03, right, that we looked at from before. And now I can go ahead and take this number because I've already put in this equation right here. I can take this little square right here and I can drag it down all the way to frame 15, right like this. And what happens now is that my positions fill in exactly as I would want them to. Again, these numbers might look a little funny, so let me come down here. And I'm going to format this as number to clean things up a little bit. But now look what I've got. In the first frame, I put the car at 0 centimeters. In the second frame, or maybe I should say this, in the 0th frame, I put it at 0 centimeters. In the first frame, I put it at 0.03 centimeters. That's not very far, right? It is 3/100ths of a centimeter. It's almost nothing. It's like you just bump the car and there you've got it. In the second frame, we're going to move it to 1/3, which is now 13/10ths, if you want to think about that, which is kind of moving things forward by 1 millimeter. And then by the next one, I'm moving it 3 millimeters. And then I'm going to set it at 5 millimeters. And then I'm going to set it at 8 millimeters. And by the time you've made it all the way to the 6th frame, we've now moved it at a whole centimeter. Now, this isn't a centimeter more. This is the actual position where it sits. So these ones are all less than 1 centimeter. And by the time you get up to here, it's finally moved the car to 1 centimeter. And then in frame 9, we're almost up to 2 centimeters. Now we're at 2 in the 10th frame. We're close to 3. We're at 3. Now we've moved it to 4. Now we've moved it to almost 5. Now we're getting close to 6 and all the way. And by the time the 15th frame has happened, this car is now moved from 0. It's moved to 7.5 centimeters. Now after that, how far does it move after that? Well, every single frame, it's going to be moving 1 centimeter per frame. So in the next frame, it's going to be moving now to 8.5. And the next one is going to be 9.5. And then 10.5. And 11.5. And 12.5. So as we get this, we have this look. It's accelerating here, right, by this acceleration, and then it doesn't accelerate anymore because our acceleration goes to 0 here, but it does increase the speed. I think this one should actually be, no, this is all right. We're good. So we're increasing by 1 centimeter per frame after that. This is our blueprint for how to make our our video as we go. So here we've got frames and positions, right, all the way down. This right here is what we are looking at as to make our stop motion animation. So I hope this helped a little bit. It's a lot of kind of spreadsheet stuff, kind of on the fly. If you've never done stuff with spreadsheets, this will feel difficult. If you have done stuff with spreadsheets, this should feel right up your alley. So, all right, everybody, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.